And this is it.
I switched to Geico and saved a bunch of money on car insurance.
Would be it. Geico slipped a free one in there, and so does everybody else. You can tell this is the first show of the year, Joe.
We sure can. Welcome, everybody, to the first show this season of Inside Pitch.
As I was trying to say, this is the first show of Inside Pitch. Before we ran the free plug for Geico, and Geico, your bill is in the mail. As we'll take care of that in the long run. But Joe, before we get this show started, if you're from our area, Pensacola, the Gulf Coast, and as you're aware, we suffered a loss this week of a very special hero, Captain Jeff Koss, the number 6 pilot of the United States Blue Angels flight demonstration team, lost his life in a horrific plane crash over on Thursday. He is a true hero. He stayed with his plane. He directed his plane away from the population and managed to only have one fatality instead of many.
Yes, he did.
And because of that, I feel we need to open this show with just a moment of silence and prayer for his family and his teammates. As most people are probably not aware, this team, the demonstration team, spends hundreds upon hundreds of hours together. They are a true family.
Yes, they are.
We would like to show our respects and just open this show with a moment of silence for Captain Jeff Koss, United States Marine Corps, who perished on June 2nd, 2016, Smyrna, Tennessee, as he guided his airplane out of harm's way and stayed with it to the absolute very end.
That he did. So, folks, please join us in a moment of silence for Mr. Jeff Koss and the Blue Angels.
And we appreciate everybody doing that with us. We also want to remind everybody to keep the Davises in their prayers. Lieutenant Commander Kevin Kojak Davis also lost his life April 21st, 2007 over Beaufort, South Carolina. Also an amazing, amazing hero. Also with the Blue Angels. And Joe, I'll tell you, these guys are incredible. They do flyovers and they do maneuvers that are phenomenal. And it's awesome. It's an awesome sight to see.
They are fun to watch.
And we're lucky. We're blessed. We get to see them every day. You know.
Where I live, my wife and I are blessed. We get to watch them fly in front of our balcony at least once a week, and we stop everything just to go and watch, and they're just phenomenal.
Yep.
A true loss to America.
I am the same way. I go out on my back porch here at the studios and sit in the chair, and I can watch the entire show right from my backyard. How many people can say they can do that?
That's for sure.
So anyhow, man, we're getting a late start in the season. Guys, I apologize. We really had to come in and revamp our entire studio, rewire everything. What I thought was just going to take a few weeks turned into taking a few months. And not for Joe not wanting to get back on the air. He called me daily. Are we ready to go? We ready to go? Well, guys, we're ready to go. We rewired everything and new cameras, new mics, and we hope that you guys will enjoy the show. As always, we try to bring you the very best that we can do. And if you don't like our opinion, we really don't care. Change the channel.
Well, before we get started with our first guest, let's just recap some of the season so far. In first place in the National League East is the Washington Nationals, with the Mets 2 games back of them and the Marlins 4 back. Those outstanding Chicago Cubs, who somebody's a fan of.
My Cubbies. I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to jinx it.
They are just the best record in baseball going into today, 7-17. They're in first place, and 9-1 out of the last 10. They've won their last 3, and the second place behind them is the Pirates, already 9.5 games back.
And Joe, we talk about this all the time. 9.5 games, no matter where you are in the season, It's tough.
That's a lot of games.
It's a lot of games to make up.
That's a lot of games, and that's the biggest gap in baseball right now. And in the National League West, the Giants are in first place with the Dodgers 5.5 games back. So every other race is pretty close. But those Cubs, just like we predicted last year, they are on the roll. In the American League, first place in the East is the Baltimore Orioles. We haven't said that in a long time. But they're playing well. They've won the last 3. They're actually tied with the Boston Red Sox, first place in the East. Two good teams with the Blue Jays right behind them, 2.5 games back. In the Central, we have the Kansas City Royals leading the division, which is very nice to see. With the Indians only a half game back, and the White Sox only 1.5 games back. Very, very competitive division so far, and the Tigers are only 4 games out. It's only the Twins that are really way back at 14 games out, so that's going to be a fun division to watch throughout the year.
So what we're going to get, what Joey's leading up to, guys, is so you guys know, the World Series is setting up to be the Minnesota Twins and the Atlanta Braves.
I don't think we're going to see that. The poor Atlanta Braves, 2 months into the season, and they already fired Freddie Gonzalez as manager. They're having it tough.
But listen, that firing, do you really feel that firing was justifiable considering the character and cast that they put around him to manage?
No, not this early. And I think if I would have had to predict who should be gone by now, I would have guessed Brad Osmus with the Detroit Tigers, because they set him up for success and they're not producing. And the Braves are pretty much set up to be right where they are in last place. So it really wasn't Freddie's fault.
And I hate that. I hate to see when they do that and they fire a coach, when they give that coach absolutely no chance in the world to be successful.
And that's exactly what happened. I feel sorry for him. But before we elaborate on that, let's finish with the American League. In the West, the Texas Rangers are back in first, which is a good thing for them. Followed very closely by the Seattle Mariners, only 1 game back. And then the Astros and the Angels are 7 games back. So that should be a competitive division as well. So things are looking good in baseball. It's going to be fun to talk about. It's going to be a great season. And those Cubs are going to be on everybody's mind all year long.
Especially mine.
Especially
and listen,
yours.
I need to let everybody know, the Cubs cost me an extra $280 a year because I had to get the Major League extra innings so I could watch every game. You know, in the past, it didn't really matter. We catch them when they're on WGN, but now you don't want to miss anything.
Boy, that's for sure. And you're going to be having that this year and next year, and I think for the next 7 or 8 years, you better be spending up that money.
Anybody is looking to get their business name out and are looking for sponsorships, we need somebody to sponsor extra innings for us.
There you go.
So, we might have the extra inning package brought to you by Vince Webb Automotive or somebody like that. You guys really need to call us and get on board.
And I'm actually hoping this year that we could do something live there from Wrigley Field.
Me too. That'd be nice.
So far.
And since you're not going to leave your wife behind to take me, I guess I'm going to be stuck here in the studio producing it.
Somebody's got to do the fun work while I'll be out there dredging it and doing the shows live.
Yeah, it's just going to drive me crazy to watch you slaving in the heat, having a hot dog in Wrigley Field and a cold one.
Somebody's got to do it, but for the good of Inside Pitch, I will make that happen.
Boy, you just falling on the sword for us there. I'll tell you what.
But the Cubs are playing pretty well. I mean, you got to give it.
And I should be there.
Theo's done a great job. Joe Madden's picking up right where he left off. It's a fun season so far.
Let me just throw this out here before we get out of that. What if I was to train Crystal in how to do all of this? Then I could go with you. We could pay for her dinners. We could send her to a nice dinner a couple nights while we're gone.
I'll tell you what. She is smart enough and good enough to learn all this quicker than me.
That's what I'm saying, man. I'm just thinking we should lay that out there for her.
But I have a feeling something about seeing the daughter is going to score in her hearts.
Pictures. And we can live stream the visit.
I think she's going to be there. But we can try. We can try.
I
won't be asking her, but you can call her and ask her yourself.
You won't be. No, because you don't want to be on the couch.
Yeah, I don't want to have a frying pan heading my way.
A fart coming your way? Is that what you were going to say?
A frying pan heading my way.
Well, let's talk a couple things. I know you got some hit and miss, and we're going to have the great Al Downing on the show. That's right. I called him the great Al Downing.
And
good,
that he is.
Good guy, good friend of the show. But let's talk a couple of things that you pointed out last year. One of them, let's talk about the Nationals and what a difference Dusty Baker has made to that ball club.
Boy, hasn't he? And we did, like you said, we talked about that all last season, where he should have been the hiring instead of Matt Williams 2 years ago, and he's living up to everything that we said he would. He is guiding that team. I really see them and the Cubs fighting to be the National League representative in the World Series.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I think that was a great hiring. I think Dusty is the right guy. Obviously, he's proven he's the right guy. If you want to know how Dusty Baker is a coach, just look at what he did when he was with the Cubs. He had almost no talent at Wrigley at that point in time.
Absolutely right.
And he got those guys to play to an ability that they had never played in their lives. Now, did they go out and do a lot of great things? No, but we did go to the playoffs, and we almost went to the World Series, lacking one game and a Steve Berkman interference, which, that guy, I don't know. I think he's dead now.
You Cub fans, give the
Who
guy
knows
a
where
break.
this guy is? I know he's not in Chicago no more. And hopefully not within about 300 or 400 miles of Wrigley. But anyhow, he has a knack to getting guys to elevate their game and their abilities. You do that with a team like the Nationals, and you're talking about a team that could very well be playing in October.
All the talent that they have, and just in the beginning of the season already, you could see what a great influence he's been on Bryce Harper, who arguably could be the best player in the National League. Arguably.
Yeah,
and he has been really, really good for Bryce, and it's good to see.
It's fun to see, and it was really fun to watch them come to Wrigley and get what did we get, 3 from them? 3 out of 3 or something? I can't remember what it was, but I know that there was like some brooms or something out on that last day. But you know what I saw out of them was the most competitive team the Cubs have seen and played against all season.
They don't give up until the game's over. I mean, Dusty has really got them focused, got them knowing they can win any game until it's over, and that's what you need. That's really what you need, and he has just done a tremendous job.
And the other team that you have to sit back and go, holy mackerel, where are they coming from? Is the team that is slotted just a little bit in last place with the I can't remember the team now. Never mind. Go to your next question. I forgot.
All right. Well, I think we'll take a little break, and we will come back with former Yankee and Dodgers pitcher and just a great guy. He is now set a precedent where the first show that we do every season, he's on it. We'll be back with the great Al Downing.
And one error, by the way, on my part. You're good. I couldn't remember the team I was trying to think.
Yeah, I was trying to help you. I can't think of it.
There's another manager who's made a huge impact on their team. I mean, they were struggling really bad. Now they're up there. I'm going to look it up. There was a new manager too that came on.
Okay, so how do I just dial?
Yep. You dial out.
And then I hit speaker?
Yep, you got it. Well, you should have made the first error of the year. Now I'm feeling bad.
Oh, greetings, sir. Really good. How about you? Good deal. I bet. I hear it. I hear it's hot out there. That's just outstanding. We're in a commercial, and we will be with you in about 30 seconds. All right. Thank you, and hold on.
And we want to welcome everybody back to the program as I just let a simple ground ball roll between my legs.
That's all right. We'll
one
pick
run
it up.
scored.
We
down
will
by
pick it
one.
up in a minute. Right now, we have one of the greatest players who've ever been in the game of baseball. He played for the New York Yankees from 1961 to 69. In 1970, he was with the Oakland A's and the Milwaukee Brewers. And in 1971 through 77, he was with the Los Angeles Dodgers. He led the American League. He was a strikeout leader in 1964, an American League All-Star in 1967. Also in the 67 season, he struck out 3 batters on 9 pitches in the second inning of what was a 5-3 win over the Cleveland Indians. In 1971, he was the National League Comeback Player of the Year, where he won 20 games with a league-leading 5 shutouts, and he came in third for the Cy Young Award that year to a couple of guys named Ferguson Jenkins and Tom Seaver behind him. He had a career ERA of 3.22 with 1,639 strikes. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Al Downing. Al, how are you doing?
Well, Joe, thank you very much. I don't know if I can live up to that billing or not, but I appreciate it.
Absolutely. You have lived up to that billing.
Well, you do the best you can when you're out there. What you try to do is everyone wonders, what's it like when you get to the big leagues. When you get to the big leagues, it's like survival, because every year there's a newcomer coming up trying to take your place. And the thing that keeps you humble is remembering how you got there, because you took somebody's place. But it's a lot of fun. It was a long chase, and it was enjoyable. I met a lot of wonderful people, not only during that time, because I met you during that time through Jimmy Lefevre, and of course later on met many more young wonderful people.
And and it's just as you know, I mean, you earned the nickname Gentleman Al, and from the minute you put a uniform on, and I'm sure before then and through today, you have lived up to those words, and I am very proud and honored to call you a good friend.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Joe.
So what do you think of baseball this year? What do you think of this relief pitching with all these teams struggling?
Well, I think what they're doing, they're talking about trying to speed up the game, but yet I watched the game the day the Cubs were playing Arizona, and the catcher goes out to the mound, and when the catcher gets back behind home plate, the pitcher coach comes out to talk to the pitcher. And then, of course, the announcer says, well, they're going to have to do something to speed up this game. So the problem is in trying to speed up the game is you have to understand why the games are taking so long, and one of the things is that I think there are a lot of players that come into the major leagues prematurely, and they're not really qualified at that point to be in the big leagues playing every day. And if they are, you have to let them make the mistakes that they're going to humanly make. You can't go out and try to correct every little thing and micromanage every little move they make. And so that's what's changing the game tremendously. And then when you take into consideration the fact that you can't pitch inside to anyone anymore, you can't slide into the guy at second base trying to make a double play. Well, you're not going to just give up the double play. I mean, that was a big part of the game. Don't let him make the double play. So they're doing so many things to trying to change the game that I don't think are in the best interest of the game of baseball.
Boy, that's for sure, and I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, when you slide in hard to second base, you don't expect to stand up and see a right hook coming towards your face. That's for sure.
Well, and it's not a case where you get up and you pat the guy in the back and say, nice slide, or the guy pats you in the back and says, nice slide. He's mad at you for knocking him over, and you're mad at him for low bridging you with his throw, but that's part of the game.
Exactly right, and we really miss that. But we talked a little bit in your intro about the 5 shutouts that you had. People just don't go the distance anymore. You have it's just incredible to me. People have had closers. I mean, I can remember way back with Phil the Vulture Regan and Perinoski. I mean, you have closers, but these 6th inning specialists, 7th inning specialists, 8th inning specialists, I mean, come on, just pitch the ball.
Well, I think one of the things that has happened is as they try to analyze the game, they figured that teams are losing games in the last 2 or 3 innings, which is true, okay?
Right.
But there always was a culture in baseball that in order to be a starting pitcher on a ball club, you had to pitch a certain number of innings. You had to get a certain number of starts, and primarily you probably got anywhere between 32 and 34 starts, and then your horses got 36 starts, but they were pitching 250 innings, and that's unheard of these days.
Boy, that's for sure.
Yeah, so because you don't have that, then what happens is you're going to the bullpen more frequently. And in the old school, the bullpen was guys who had been pitchers, but they no longer could go 9, but they can come out and get 9 outs for you, okay? Well, now what they have is that you put guys down the bullpen who throw 99 miles an hour, but they don't throw the ball over the plate. So that further amplifies the problem.
And that's really, I mean, that just to a T says exactly what the problems are. I mean, because you're right, the relief pitchers used to be the guys who were either going to be starting pitchers later in their career or had already been starters and were now could only go that 3 or 4 innings. And nowadays, you just don't see it anymore. You do have these guys who could throw BBs but can't throw it over the plate.
No, and everybody they glorifies the fact that the guy threw it 97 plus, but it was the catcher jumped up out of his position to get it. The crowd.
Yeah, that's never any fun. Never any fun.
And then the third thing is, of course, the catcher's position at home plate, where they say you can't block home plate. Well, you never could block home plate, really, because that was done at your own risk. But
right.
The thing is, you weren't supposed to block home plate before you got the ball. Well, now they're saying even if you get the ball, you can't block home plate. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. What's that all about?
Yeah, are you just giving the run away? I mean, that just makes no sense. I mean, do they just want you to stand back and put out your welcome mat and say, this is yours, you can have it?
I don't know if you've been watching any games the past 10 days or so, but I think they put out some atomic balls in baseball now because balls are flying out of the parks like you wouldn't believe.
Oh, let's just hope that that's for a valid reason. Hard work.
It is. It's to put butts in the seats.
Oh man.
Exactly. Because the umpires are squeezing the pitchers to begin with, and I don't think they're doing it because out of spite. I think everybody has a different style of umpiring, and you can't expect all umpires to be uniform. But the thing is, the pitchers haven't learned that, again, along with this, inexperience, haven't learned how to pitch in the strike zone but away from the center of the strike zone. So when they get behind the batter, they come right back in the center of the strike zone. Well, you're throwing a guy a ball that's already jacked up, and the ball is like flying like you wouldn't believe, and
And that's true, but you're right with the umpires because even way back, they were all different. They all had their own strike zones. But the best thing about it was that they were always consistent.
They were always consistent. They were always fair. I mean, there's one position. The catcher has a box behind him. Where the white lines extend from the batter's box. Well, in the back, if you look, the catcher has actually he's in a little rectangle.
Right.
And he really is not supposed to move outside of that box to receive a pitch, and they call that a catcher's balk.
Right.
But it's very seldom ever called. Okay. And so what happens in the old days, the umpire would just put his hand on the catcher's shoulder and kind of nudge him back and like say, get back in there. Well, today they just follow the catcher. So the catcher's moving outside the strike zone to catch pitches from a pitcher who can't throw the ball in the strike zone to begin with.
And they're set up out of the strike. The umpires are set up out of the strike zone.
Exactly. And so they call what they see. Exactly, yes.
That's just amazing. It's amazing. Let's talk a little bit about Dusty Baker and the job he's doing with the Nationals.
Well, I think that you and I have known Dusty for a long time. And the one thing about Dusty, anybody who meets Dusty knows that they're meeting a friend because he makes you feel that comfortable.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure that when he went down to Washington, one of the reasons they had chosen him to manage this ball club is because they have the talent. But they were having a lot of internal problems last year, and they figured, who can we get who can be a guy who can have control of this ball club in the clubhouse? That's all the manager has to do. Be control of the ball club in the clubhouse, because when you get on the field, you want them to play their game. You don't want to have them, putting on bunt plays all the time and taking pitches. But in the clubhouse, you want peace. And Dusty is the guy. He makes everybody feel comfortable. He talks to all of his players all the time. He makes you feel like you're the most important guy on the team.
He's the Gandhi of baseball.
Pardon?
He's the Gandhi of coaches.
Most definitely. And if you talk to anybody who's ever played, for under him as a manager, or any player who has played with him, they'll tell you what a guy is. Greatest guy you'd ever want to meet. And he said, I happened to play with Dusty for 4 years, so I know that. But a lot of guys don't know that because they just hear it and they say, that can't be that way. Until you're around him, and you understand, that he says, we'll have to get in with the new nomenclature in baseball, and like to integrate it to what we already know. But more importantly, the game's not changing that much. It's still 60 feet 6 inches, 90 feet bases, three outs. 3 strikes, 4 balls. That's it.
And he really, I'm kind of hoping that the Washington Nationals did that because they listened to Inside Pitch and they heard us saying, Dusty's the guy, Dusty's the guy.
I sent them an email and told them they needed to tune in.
See? I got to let Dusty know he's there because of Inside Pitch.
Okay, he probably is listening.
Actually, we sent him more. We sent more than one, but we had to disguise the email address.
You disguised the name, right?
We did. We went through probably, 7,500 or so different email addresses. It's a really great program, Al. If you need it, I'll send you a copy of it. It changes them for you.
It's kind of like voting for the All-Star team now, right?
Oh,
well, you notice the whole infield is Cubs, right?
Ballot, now they give a kid 50 ballots.
Isn't that something? Let's talk about that a little bit. How do you start voting for the All-Star game in the beginning of the season with 100 ballots in your pocket?
It's easy. You take it out. You mark
it. Your program just came on. So you just came on last week or is this?
No,
tonight, first night.
Okay. These guys who have these pundits who have these shows like you're coming on in the spring, in the spring training and everything, and they're anointing guys as all-stars before the season started. And then that's a big part of the problem. So if the team's at home, of course the kid says, hey, when I get the ballot, I got to vote for so-and-so because they said he's an all-star.
Right. And that just isn't always the case.
I just want to come out and make this known. I did vote for an all-Cubs infield. I did it. I'm sorry.
Beckett, Kessinger, Santo, and who's your first baseman?
I had Leon Durham, but
the Bull Durham.
Yeah, but some guy sent me an email back and said I wasn't able to put him on there. It was crazy. But I had Ivan De Jesus at short, Sandberg at second, and on one of the ballots I think I had Ron Say at third even.
Oh man!
And I had Jody Davis behind the plate. And I had Ricky. I had big old Ricky starting the game for me.
Uh-huh.
But that one got denied. Apparently they weren't on the ballot.
Imagine that.
It's just a shame.
Imagine that.
Well, you hit us a note there because I'm sure, being a Cub fan, that the old saying about the Cubs and what's going to happen in June or July or what. The Cubs have a very good ball club. I just watched them again this morning. I enjoy watching them because they have a hitting lineup.
Yes,
And they were smart enough to put together a lineup that fed off of one another. So that even if one or two guys went into slumps, you still had 2 or 3 guys to pick them up. And the pitching have tremendous pitching, and they're going to be a tough ball club to reckon with when you get down to September.
And I got to tell you, the one guy that I was so happy to see come back was Dexter Flower.
Yes.
Dexter is awesome. And when you add him with Ben Zobrist, Chris Bryant, Rizzo, and those guys, I mean, that lineup, top to bottom, can kill you.
Dexter is a pure center fielder.
He's beautiful. It's beautiful to watch him play.
He reminds me of Devon White. I don't know if you remember Devon White.
I do remember Devon White, yeah.
Same way. These guys, Gary Maddox, these guys were center fielders, man. I mean, the ball's hitting the air. They're going right, left. They're going to get it. And Dexter plays that way, very quietly, doesn't say much, and Joe puts him at leadoff, and he just quietly does his job. And, no fanfare. And that's what you like to see in baseball.
He started the day off for us today very good with a long shot. I mean, there's been several of those that have started the game that way. And, even if they get down by 2 or 3 now, if you're a Cubs fan, you're not really worried because you're going to get that one big rally that they've always gave us since, God, I can't ever remember a year where we didn't have one good inning every game. But now the pitching's kept us in that game to the point that if we get a 3-run good inning, we're usually taking the lead back.
Yes.
And it's amazing to watch. And to watch guys like Arrieta pitch And not only pitch, watch him hit. Watch Hendricks hit. Watch John Lester hit now. These guys are not only putting the ball in play, but they're hitting it a ton.
Well, that's why I don't like the designated hitter, because I think if you're a pitcher, you're still a ball player. You're supposed to be a ball player. You know, you're not a place kicker. You know, and
exactly right.
When your turn comes at the plate, you're supposed to be involved in the game just as you are out on the mound.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love to see the things that are going on with them. The thing that scares me the most about the Cubs right now is when they play teams like the Brewers, the Padres, the Braves. Those teams seem to give them more trouble than the Cardinals, the Pirates, and the Nationals, and that scares me when you let those teams stick around and pester you.
Well, that's the problem. They pester you, and to the point where you have to start using up a lot of your bullpen when you're getting ready for a series with the Cardinals,
right?
Or one of those good teams that can really play defense, because those teams aren't good because they don't play great defense, but they can put runs up there. And that in baseball, that's the key thing. You have to keep the other team's run production down.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's the thing that worries me as this season progresses, is being able to keep teams like that from winning these series. And I'm not so naive that I believe the Cubs are going to win every series of the season, but those are the ones you need to win. As well as the Cardinals and those guys, the Pirates, but those teams that you tend to go to sleep against are the ones that we need to find a way to start winning. Right now, if you go back and look at the schedule up and down, the series that we've lost have been against those kind of teams.
Yes.
And if as a Cubs fan, that should scare you a little bit.
Well, it scares most ball clubs because those are like sleeper teams.
Mm-hmm.
Just when you think okay, we got an easy one here. This team hasn't won very much, but then you don't look at why they're losing. And they're losing these 9-8 ball games.
Right, and you can't let them stay in there. You can't let them hang around.
No.
You got to go ahead and step on their throat and put them out when you can. But baseball all around looks like it's that way. And I'll tell you the other thing is the job that Buck Showalter's doing with Baltimore. What a job he's doing over there.
Well, Buck's number one. Buck's a very smart, but he's a very intelligent baseball man. And then he also has a good pitching coach, Dave Waters. Dave is a very good pitching coach. And their pitchers are starting to round into the point where they understand more about pitching, because a lot of them are hard throwers, but they really hadn't refined that. But more importantly, you look at their lineup. Their lineup is no chump change. I mean, that's a tough lineup.
Yeah, no, it's very good. And he gets everything out of them.
Yes.
And he manages in the same style that Joe Madden does. I mean, they're both just very smart, very calm, and make the right decisions just about every time.
But you'll never see Buck with a beard.
Boy, that's for sure. That's for sure.
Or without a tan.
Exactly.
He's always got a good tan. Being from here, he spends his off season getting nice and juicy before he heads out.
Too funny. Oh my gosh. Well, Al, we want to thank you. We don't know if you know this, but you have set a precedent where last year the first show you were the guest. This year the first show you're the guest. So you now in 2017, our first show, we're expecting to have you back on.
Well, I look forward to that, and I certainly appreciate the opportunity to sit down and talk with you gentlemen. It's always a lot of fun. It's always fun talking baseball. And we've all grown up with the game, and we've seen all the changes that go on. But like I said earlier, it's still the same game. And it's so much fun. And I'm sure you have a lot of fun talking with the fans about it, too.
We do. We have a great time. And I want to thank you and let you know I'm really looking forward to seeing you on the 20th of this month for lunch.
I look forward to that also. You take care of yourself.
Absolutely. You have a great one, and we will talk to you later. Thank you, Al, for everything.
Thank you. You're welcome.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Al Downing.
My favorite guest that we get every year is Al.
He is just such a class guy.
And Al, if you are still listening, thanks for the photograph, buddy. It's hanging in the office. If I ever get Joe to let me take his banner down, maybe everybody else can see it. But he's got such an ego. I mean, he couldn't just order a small banner. He had to get something that covered the whole wall.
So That's the least we could do.
When you see him on the 20th, hit him on his bald spot so he knows that, he's got to move it.
Oh, man. Well, it was interesting, again, hearing from somebody who played back when,
baseball was
really
baseball.
Played baseball.
And I'm going to tell you, I disagree. I have to disagree with not just a few of the changes. I disagree with most of the changes in baseball. I don't understand, and I said this a lot last year, and I'm going to say it again this year. I don't understand why we have to mess up something that's not messed up. I mean, you take and look at the guys like Pete Rose who played. He played it to 100% of his ability. If you got taken out, you got taken out. My problem is I think all of this really started to develop after Utley's hit last year in the playoffs on the shortstop for the Mets that took him out for the rest of the season.
Well, which the suspension that he was supposed to have got was dismissed because they realized that was just a hard slide.
It's
there was
baseball.
Nothing dirty about it.
It's
It
baseball.
is baseball.
Guys
That
are going
goes
to
with
get
the game.
stepped on. Guys are going to get hit. Guys are going to get collided with. It's just baseball. Take that away. Just think, look at at Thurman Munson, when he played. That play at the plate that pretty much ended his career was just a baseball play. The collision at home plate with him in the All-Star game.
Ray Fosse.
Is that who it was? I
Yeah.
thought it was Thurman with
No.
the Yankees.
No.
But you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
That
That
wasn't
ended his career.
it was not a vicious play to hurt the guy. It was
He just wanted to
a
score.
baseball play.
Absolutely right.
And
Absolutely
we're
right.
taking it and we're making baseball like, I hate to say it, but really the rules are changing to the point now, and I honestly feel this, and anybody calls up and says something, I don't mind. But it's like taking a tee and sitting it out there and hit the ball off the tee, run the tee, go to first base. Oh, but it can't be anything close. We can't have any contact. We can't have any collision because we don't want to. I mean, we're paying these guys millions of dollars to play baseball.
Well, and I think the biggest thing,
Let's
the
play
biggest
baseball.
change in baseball that really hasn't been a rule, but Al alluded to it a little bit, is the fact that in today's game, pitchers can't pitch inside. The umpires have taken it away from them. The batters have taken it away from them. So you can't.
Well,
even throw
baseball's
inside
kind of
to
taking
anybody
it away
anymore.
from them.
It has.
Because
I mean, it's a rule that isn't out there yet. Nobody calls the inside strike, and it's just wrong. Batters need to get used to the fact that that's the pitcher's part of the plate. And
guys
you
like
don't
Greg
see it anymore.
Maddux and Nolan Ryan and Tom Seaver and Steve Carlton, those guys own the
Al
corners.
Downing,
they own the corners.
absolutely. Denny McLean,
Yeah.
all those guys. It was
Yeah, I
inside
promise you
corner,
that
outside corner.
if Denny McLean didn't have those corners, he doesn't win 30 games.
Greg Maddux the same.
Maddux the same way.
Absolutely. I mean, you got to have the whole plate.
If you call these guys, the Picassos of baseball, because of the way they paint the corners, let them paint the corners.
Without a doubt.
Let them hit. Let these guys stay in the minors a little longer, and learn to hit the inside pitch. Let them take. Listen, if you're going to take my corner, I'm coming at your head. Let that go back to how baseball used to be. We didn't have that many guys in the old days, that took one in the noggin. If it was coming at it, they ducked. They got out the
Absolutely.
way.
And they understood.
It was part of the
difference
game.
was they understood it was part of the game.
Dusted themselves
you
off.
look at it, a Hall of Fame pitcher, Don Drysdale for the Dodgers. His big philosophy was, if one of my guys goes down,
You're
2
going
years
down.
go down.
Yeah.
And that's the way it should be. And umpires are encouraging the players to be sissies. The teams are encouraging it because there's so much money
Involved.
being handed to these players that they can't
Involved.
afford to get them hurt. It's
But
just,
you
it's
also
terrible.
you can't manipulate the game to the point where it's not entertaining. And yeah, I love seeing a home run. Who doesn't love seeing Rizzo hit the ball into the apartments across Waveland Avenue?
It depends on who they're playing.
know,
but for the most part.
Who doesn't like? Well, I mean, look at Seager. Seager hit a bomb in Chicago.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. I'm not opposed to it, but I'm also not opposed to the next time the cat gets up to the plate. you run one up on his chin.
Absolutely.
Back him off a little bit. Let him know, hey, buddy, you got me. This is my plate, my house. I'm playing in it. If you don't
can't
like
back
it,
down.
go away. But they can't do that anymore because the very first time you do, you get warnings to both benches.
Right.
And you've taken the ability of the pitching, of the pitchers, to control and own the plate away.
Very much so. It's
And-
very, very frustrating.
And it's just there's other things too in baseball that need to be corrected. I think if you take the guy out at second on a slide, good for you.
I do
As
too.
long as you're not doing it to hurt the guy, spikes up.
Right.
If you just go in hard, you start your slide in front of the bag instead of behind the bag, you make an attempt to
And
be
you
safe,
should.
but you come in high. Instead of going down, you come in almost sitting straight up.
Yeah.
Make him jump. Make him
get out of the
get
way.
the rhythm broke a little bit.
Right. You don't want
I'm
that
fine
easy
with
throw to
that.
first.
I mean,
I think that's the way it should be.
and the same thing with the touch of the bag now. Listen, it's beautiful to watch a 4-6-3 double play go down when it goes down with fluid and motion.
Right.
There's an art to it. It's
There is a
a
definite
show.
art to it.
It's like, it's the only sport that has fluid motion that is beautiful. To watch a shortstop take a short hop, get it out of his glove, great throw to second. Second pivots, gets in
Pivots
the
and
air,
throws
makes
to
the
first.
a dead eye shot to first.
Yep. Without looking in some cases.
It's gorgeous to watch
It is fun to watch.
And when you start taking that away, and I noticed it with the Cubs game the other day, we had to tag the bag and then back up and then get set up, and we lost the double play to where in the past he'd have tagged that bag and been in the air and thrown it.
Right.
And that double play would have been there. Now we're teaching them to play ball differently than they grew up learning how to play ball. And I think that's bad for the sport as well.
I agree.
But it is what it is. Baseball's going to be what it's going to evolve. It's going to be like football now. The first year they started kicking from the 35 for an extra point. I hated it, but now it's all right. I'm getting used to it. I like it. It makes it more challenging, But it's still, you can't change the game so much.
No,
it's like
you
the
sure
goalie
can't.
in the crease, the
Exactly.
catcher in his box.
Exactly right.
It has to. It's there for a reason.
And the catcher not being able to block the plate is just absolutely absurd.
Yeah, that's your home. You
It's
protect it.
absolutely absurd.
It's your job.
And-
Your
and-
job is to protect that dish.
Things like that need to come back to baseball.
It
and what
does.
Baseball was.
If you want to juice the ball a little bit, wind it a little tighter, whatever they're doing, I'm okay with a guy knocking 40 home runs. I have no problem with the offensive part of the game. But if you're going to adjust the offensive part of the game, you got to let the defense part of the games
Right.
stay where it was.
Right. And
Because-
they have to. And they have to make the games just as fair for the pitcher as it is for the hitter. And
Absolutely.
They're not doing that.
Because when you handcuff the pitcher, you have 13, 12 games.
right.
And you have pitchers who should have a 1.24 ERA running out there with a 12.35 ERA.
Exactly right.
And when you build ballparks in cities like Denver, where a bunt will get out, because,
Isn't
know,
that the truth?
then you have to give the pitcher the advantage again.
yeah.
You can't, and they're building ballparks smaller and smaller. They're making ballparks that are no longer pitchers' parks, but every one of them is hitters' park. Look at Houston; they got the short porch. The Boston short
That's
porch.
what they want.
Yankees short porch. Instead of it being symmetric like it used to be.
The fans love home runs. It brought.
Well, I
baseball
love a
back
home
to
run
America.
too, Joe. But I love the guy. I want to see a
Make
guy.
them earn it.
I want to see the guy hit a home run that I can't hit.
Right.
And when you're hitting it 302 feet,
Right.
because the porch jets out into the field that far, any man in America who gets a good swing can hit the ball 300
Let's
feet.
go to 340, 350, and
Put it
380
back.
dead
What
center.
happened to the 375? The
Yeah.
405s
405s
in
dead
Detroit.
center. Right.
That's
That's what they need.
Let's get back to building ballparks. Make them your cathedral. I don't care what they look like on the outside, but make the ballparks like they used to be on the inside.
Right.
Make them so that you can't bunt a home run. Make them
Isn't
so
that the
if
truth?
you get a 5-mile-an-hour headwind, or tailwind, you're not going to be able to hit the ball out of the park because of the help of the wind.
And speaking of button, which is a lost art, but before we do, and we're going to go to our next guest, we're going to take about a minute break, and we're going to come back with our next guest. So thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you in a minute. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are back to Inside Pitch. Our next guest is a softball blogger. He has Justin's World of Softball. He is actually currently at the College World Series for the women. Justin McLeod, welcome to Inside Pitch.
Thanks, Joe. How are you?
Doing great, thanks. How you doing?
Doing all right. It's a great atmosphere.
Good
Right.
deal. Good deal. Before we get into a little bit about that, what do you think of these baseball seasons so far?
Oh, well, I'm a Cubs fan.
my boy. I
I
like
can be
this.
biased in baseball, so I'm loving it.
Uh-oh. You're in here.
Yeah, this is the best guy you've had on yet.
Go ahead, Paul. You go to Justin.
Justin, I think you're great, man. I'm a Cubs fan, too. I mean, it don't get no better than this year for us, does it?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
I said this year it doesn't get any better.
It doesn't.
Everything we could want to happen is happening. What do you think about our Cubbies this year? Talk about it a little bit.
Well, I mean, I like the youth, but I also like guys like Ross and Arietta that didn't grow up in the program and making contributions and kind of all the pieces fitting together so perfectly.
And I want to tell you, I think David Ross this year, I think he looks better this year than I've seen him look in a long time.
I really think you're right. And I mean, it sounds cliche, it sounds a little weird, but it's one of those feeding off the youth, you know?
Yeah.
But you know, you gotta. It's not only feeding off the youth. The fact is, there's something that called adrenaline that when your team's actually winning and has a chance to do well, you play better.
Yep, you're right.
You know, and he just hasn't been able to have that. But heck, he may be playing for the next 8 or 9 years because I think that's about what the Cubs are going to be doing.
Yeah, you got a point.
Well, I don't mind us trying to talk him out of retiring. As long as he wants to walk up to forever young, I say we just keep pumping it in him and let him go because I feel I am more confident when Ross is behind the plate than I am when Montour is behind the plate this year. Miguel just looks like he's not in sync this year. Really, some of the effort he's made on some of the pitches this year, I thought have been questionable. I know he's hurt or he came off an injury, but we also have a young catcher that we had brought up from Iowa, and I can't remember his name right now, but he filled in for David, for Ross. He was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Let's bring him up.
I've been a Rossi fan for, before his Cubs days, and he's one of those guys that he might not, be an all-star every year. He might not hit a ton of home runs, have a great batting average, but he gets the job done when it needs to be done. He's the dependable kind, and I'd rather have a dependable catcher that doesn't hit a home run every at bat than one who hits a home run, twice a game, but then can't control a pitching staff and can't help them out and can't help win ball games.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that he is that guy. He's that catcher that if he does retire and he ends, I would love to see him stay on as maybe a catcher's coach and work with our young catchers. Because I really feel that when Schreiber gets back, I think we're going to see him behind the plate a little more next year. Assuming everything heals up correctly. But that kid that we brought up from Iowa, and I'm so mad, is Warshawalowicz or whatever his name was, he was phenomenal.
Yep.
And to look at our farm club and see what they have, that's, man, if you're a Cubs fan, you're so excited.
It is, and it's one of those, I like to say, we suffered through the 7 times 7 years of famine, and now we're getting the years of plenty.
That's right. I agree with you.
I don't know if it's going to be 100 years of plenty to make things even, but the next 7 and 8 are really going to be something.
Listen, I'll be honest with you. If you're a Cub fan, you just need 1 or 2. you just need enough to go, whoo, man. And if they can win the World Series, we just need 1.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, we can live off of 1 World Series win for another 100 years.
That's exactly it.
Look at the Saints fans. Because I'm one of them too.
Me too.
And I just needed the 1.
And I think definitely within the next 7 or 8 years, there's going to be more than 1. I mean, Theo and Joe have just put together such a good team and run it just the way it should be. It's just fun to watch.
You're right.
Well, I got a question. Would you be in there at the College World Series? What about the Georgia Bulldogs, and are they not hitting on all cylinders right now?
Matter of fact, that's who's playing as we speak, and you're dang right they are. I'm sitting here watching them, and I mean, they're just clicking.
It's amazing to watch them right now because their pitching is phenomenal. They're not making the errors, and to do what they did to Florida State the other day, I mean, God, that looks good for the SEC.
Well, you got a team coming in at 16, the 16th seed in the tournament. But, last one in as a seed that hosts a regional. And there was questions, okay, should it be this team instead of Georgia, whatever. And then they go and sweep the number one team in Florida to get here. And, they just keep winning.
They're just playing. I mean, they look like they're having a ball. And they're just playing great softball right now.
Yep.
It's just incredible to watch them. Now, who do you think, is going to have the best chance to take the World Series?
As it stands now, I say my money's on, but I mean I'm not a wagering fella. But
right.
if I were to bet, then my money would be on Oklahoma. I just think they've got a really solid pitching staff. They've got a real young sophomore that's their ace, and she's growing emotionally and being able to finish the big games, the big moments, even when she gets in trouble. They've got a stellar offense, even after losing their two biggest home run hitters almost in their program history after last year. And I think they're just clicking on all cylinders. And with the home crowd here being what it is,
oh, absolutely,
I don't know if there's going to be anybody beats them.
Absolutely. Well, who do you think? I mean, your money. If you was putting your money on it, who do you think it's going to come down between Oklahoma and who?
That one's a little tougher. I'd go either Michigan or Auburn. Auburn's playing right now against Georgia, and then Michigan's just been one of the top two teams the entire season, the last two seasons. Their pitching's a little diminished this year. They lost an All-American, and but their offense is clicking on all cylinders. The ace they've got is an ace. So if I had to put money on it, I'd probably go Michigan, but I'd have Auburn right there underneath them as a strong possibility.
Well, what is the score right now with the Georgia-Auburn game?
Last I checked, it was tied at 1.
Tied at 1. Well, I'm going to tell you, whenever the SEC has to beat up on one another, it usually lose a really good team.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But I love the atmosphere. That's one of the few things that I enjoy watching is the Women's College World Series. The atmosphere in Oklahoma is second to none. And watching the teams come out, I think softball is the most fun game to watch because of how fast-paced it is. It really is probably the fastest-paced game, around. And it's so much listening to them chant and cheer, and it sucks you into the game.
They're always into it. And when you watch how those girls can get around so quickly on that fastball and pull it, it's astounding. I mean, it's amazing what they can do.
It really is.
Yeah, it sucks you right in as a fan. The atmosphere of those games, it sucks you in. There's no way you can not go to a ladies softball game and not enjoy yourself.
Well, and let's talk a little about that, Justin. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your blog, Justin's World of Softball, and get some of the people who listen to us for Major League Baseball interested in paying attention to what you do.
Well, I started it just kind of as a niche site about 4.5 years ago. Didn't know what kind of audience I was looking at, but what I did know was there's no news site. There's no, there's no resource for softball. I started it, and it's just grown and grown every year since. Several dozens of thousands of viewers every month, and really it's news. It's interviews with players at the top college and the professional levels. We do a little bit of everything. Keep it interesting. We do some fun stuff with them. You don't get to see the personal sides of the players that you might otherwise just see in the field. We covered predominantly Division I softball, and then we cover the Pro League, the National Pro Fast Pitch. Plays in the summer, and we cover them during that month when the college season's ended.
Outstanding. That's got to be just an audience that like you said, is growing and growing every year because it is a contagious thing. You love watching their enthusiasm. You love, hearing them cheer for each other and playing together. Things that as you make it into Major League Baseball, you just don't see that often. And when they live it every day and stuff, it's very exciting and very contagious.
It really is. If you just look, if you're ever at a softball game, you just kind of look around. You see the camaraderie in the dugouts, and somebody hits a home run, everybody comes up to home plate, and they're all slapping back the helmet and high fives and that kind of thing. Somebody strikes out, everybody's right there at them, clapping. Telling them to keep going. It's all right. Next time up, next out, I'll take care of it, kind of thing.
Right, and all those
they're very positive.
And on both ends, the positives with the home runs and the negatives when they struggle. I think when everyone's doing it, you can see the sincerity in it. It's not just coming out of the dugout and high-fiving the guy because you have to. I mean, those ladies really care and are really doing it because they want to, because they want that person to feel better about what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. And too, you see the heart of it because, I mentioned there's a pro league, but it's got just 6 teams. It's still fledgling a little bit. It's only a summer season. So, unlike in college baseball, these ladies don't have a huge contract waiting for them if they start at this level, that they can move up to the pro level and make millions. If they move up to the pro level, they're playing in the summer, so it's not even a year-round job. It's far from a year-round salary. So they're leaving all they've got on the field here because they know, and you can tell the heart in it because they know for most of them, for very many of them, there is no next level. Handful get to go, fill in some holes in the professional league rosters. They have a draft every year. Takes about 40 players. Outside of that, most of them just, once their senior season's over, that's it. And I think you really see the heart of them in it because they are fighting for the championships, for the wins, for each other. And with no next level to play for, you really can see the sincerity in it.
Hey, Justin, let me ask you this because you hit on a point that it's with the professional softball. Do you think that there will ever be a time where we'll be able to see the professional softball on a major network or an ESPN or something? Because I can't ever recall even seeing a professional game broadcasted, at least not in my region.
Well, they've in the last couple of years, they've gotten into a limited contract, about 40 games a year with CBS Sports Network, but that's still a premium cable network. For the large masses who just have your basic cable, there's not any access to them. They've started a streaming service this year to help bridge that a little bit, but still, that's not being able to turn on your TV, turn on your guide, hit it in softball, and you come up with a bunch of games. I think we will see that at a point, but I don't know how soon it will be, how far in the future that is. The ladies that are playing now really are still paving the way. They're making steps. Team owners are getting into the league now that are willing to commit the funds, even if they don't see an immediate return. Players are coming in and willing to play, several seasons just in the summer for a small salary to help make it viable and help bring that product continually names that fans will recognize year in and year out instead of brand new rosters. Team owners are willing to commit to players for 3 or 4 years, even if they know they're not going to make any money or not going to make a whole lot of money over that time. I think there is a point in time where we'll see a viable full-time professional league. At this point, though, there's still some growth to be done. There's still some outreach to be done because a lot of people just don't realize. They don't think about it. They don't know until they're approached with it organically. And until the mass market realizes this is here, if we'll just, it's here for our taking, I don't know if we're going to see it. I really don't.
Well, these women are so young that hopefully somebody will tell them that in the 50s and the 60s, players like Mickey Mantle, Duke Snyder, everybody had to have a second job because baseball didn't pay that much. And that wasn't that long ago where that was the case. So,
and I think that's a big part of it is every sport has to have a period of growth. It has to have a period, of several years where people have to kind of organically come in. The teams in the league has to cultivate that fan base. They have to show them what we've got is good, what we've got is something that you should be interested in, and then they've got to keep that. And I think that takes time more than anything. And the commitment is there. And it's growing as more teams come in and more players come in that are willing to commit to long-term contracts. And like you said, baseball, it wasn't too long ago that baseball was at that same point of having to prove viability to be able to sustain their players full time. Luckily, a lot of these ladies that move on from college will get a college coaching job or a teaching gig where they're free in the summers. And they do that with the intention of being able to play for several seasons. They'll commit their summers to be able to play for, like I say, just almost peanuts in the grand scheme of things as a professional athlete, because they're committed to the end game, even if the end game doesn't benefit them personally.
Right. They are the pioneers of what's to come.
Hey, Justin, just for the general knowledge for people to have, who are some of the recognizable players that are playing at the professional softball level right now that may be noticeable?
Well, Monica Abbott is the biggest name. Played at Tennessee in college. She's been was in the Olympics and gold medalist, and just a stellar pitcher. She's been in the pro league for several years. Back after the softball was taken out of the Olympics, they some of the players that had been famous for the Olympic team committed full time to the pro league for that same reason, to help sustain the viability of it. She just signed a long-term contract with the league's newest team in Houston, the Scrapyard Dogs. She's probably the biggest name that's still there. You've got some other ones. Lauren Hager, that just came out of Florida last year,
right,
after leading into their championship, second consecutive championship here in Oklahoma City, and she plays for the Dallas franchise. Chicago's got Michelle Gascoigne, which may not be horribly familiar to a lot of people, but she was integral to helping Oklahoma win their national championship a few years ago. And I think that's the big thing, is a lot of the bigger names like your Hagers, and Kelsey Stewart, coming out of Florida this year, just signed with the USSSA Pride to play. And I think what you're seeing is a lot more players are willing to say, you know what, I'll do it, I'll play. I'm willing to do that and be one of those pioneers, and help pave the way. And again, like I said, even if it doesn't benefit them personally at all.
Now, is the Dallas or the Texas team, is that the closest team to our region here in the Southeast?
There are 6 teams in all. There's one in Chicago, the Chicago Bandits. There's one in Akron, Ohio, the Akron Racers. There's one in Washington, Pennsylvania, the Pennsylvania Rebellion. There's 2 in Texas, the league's 2 newest franchises. In Dallas, you've got the Dallas Charge. In Houston, you've got the Scrapyard Dogs. And then in Florida, actually, which is probably the closest to this region, you've got the USSSA Pride, which are based around Kissimmee.
Right.
But they're the team also that does a lot of the games. They play games in Kansas City and Colorado, and it kind of helps bring pro softball to certain regions that don't have a team year-round.
Right. Right. Well, I'll tell you, that's good stuff right there, and it's good to know. I really wish we could see more of it. It's a great stepping stone to a wonderful sport. Fast pitch softball has slowly become a staple sport, in a lot of communities and a lot of schools, and it's really a great opportunity for young women to have a place to go and continue to play. And I hope it's very successful.
And those of you, our listeners, please go to justinsworldofsoftball.org and follow his blog and learn some of the things that we're talking about, and start enjoying women's softball as well. It's very, very exciting.
And Justin, we'll get a link on our website for you that will direct people to yours.
All right, I appreciate that, guys.
You betcha.
All right, Justin, thank you very much for sharing your expertise with us and spending some time and even talking Chicago Cubs. We want to thank you.
Yeah, by the way, you're welcome. You're welcome back anytime you want to talk Cub baseball.
We'll do that later in the season, Justin. We'll have you back.
Yeah, Justin, you won't even have to wait in line. If Joe tells you we got other guests, you just call me. Let me know. We'll bump them.
All
right, Justin. Thanks a lot. Enjoy your stay there in Oklahoma City, and we look forward to hearing from you again soon.
Thanks, guys, for having me on.
Thanks for sharing. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Well, if I'd have known that this guy was a Cubs fan, we would have put him. I mean, Al, I love you, buddy, but he'd have had to go in front of Al. We'd have had to open the show.
All righty.
That's why you didn't tell me, isn't it? Because I would have raised a fit until we talked to him. I'd have thrown a temper like a 2-year-old in here.
Ladies and gentlemen, you see the stuff I put up with. we want to thank you guys very, very much for coming back to Inside Pitch, listening to us.
Oh, and before you go, I have a gift for you.
Uh-oh.
I have a gift for you. I got this for the studio. I just wanted you to feel like you were home once again. Let's see if you still remember how to wear that thing. Look it there, folks. I'm telling you.
There you go. There you go. It's back.
It's back. See, you look like you belong in that thing.
It's back.
You feel it? You want the shin guards I got too in the chest gear?
Oh, let's make it happen. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. And we are looking forward to having you tune in next week. Same Inside Pitch time, same Inside Pitch station.
And the same two crazy fools who are on it.
There you go. Have a great evening.
It's on you, brother.